It's been a while, Kate.
I was bewildered. I had just run into my ex-husband, Steve, who had eloped with my sister Mary 13 years ago. It happened in the vegetable section of a supermarket where I was shopping. My daughter, Emily, who doesn't remember Steve as her father, stood beside me, looking curiously at both of us. I tried to ignore him and walk away.
Wait. Listen to me.
Steve grabbed my wrist as I tried to leave, holding on tightly. Emily continued to look at me with a puzzled expression, while Steve, still clutching my wrist, began explaining why he had returned to town. In short, he ran out of money and came back to ask for financial help from me, his ex-wife. A pathetic story. Anyway, let go of my hand.
You're still living with that old man at my parents' place, right? I can't believe it. We are divorced, you know?
He felt responsible for your elopement and has been helping us. Don't insult him.
Whatever. Mary and I will be living at the house now, so could you take the old man and leave?
I shook off Steve's grip and glared at him. Despite my angry expression, Steve shrugged it off with a joking "I'll be in touch" and walked away. Emily watched his retreating figure and then smiled at me.
You did it, Mom.
My name is Kate. My marriage to Steve was like an elopement. Steve's mother had already passed away, and when we decided to marry, it was on the condition that we live with his father. Shortly after we started our new life, we were blessed with a child. We named her Emily, and our lives were filled with happiness as we showered her with love. Running away together was never something to be proud of, but I was happy. When Emily turned 3 and things had settled down a bit, we decided to go on a trip, leaving Emily with her grandfather, whom she was very attached to. It was a rare trip by car, but it wasn't just Steve and me. My sister Mary came along as well.
I'm so happy to go on a trip. Steve's driving is so comfortable and reassuring.
Mary, sitting in the back seat with the window open, smiled happily. Steve, at the wheel, smiled back. Mary, naturally affectionate, called Steve by his first name and became very attached to him. Being my precious sister, I had splurged on the travel expenses, which Steve covered entirely. We walked around the tourist spots, and both Mary and I enjoyed laughing with Steve. In a small alley off the bustling shopping street, Steve went to the bathroom while Mary and I sat on a bench to catch our breath.
Thank you, Kate. You invited me on what was supposed to be a trip for just you two.
It's fine. Steve seems to like you too.
I see. That's good then.
Mary tied her long hair back, and a sweet scent wafted toward me. Sensing my silent gaze, Mary smiled gently.
Do you like it? It's my favorite, the scent you gave me.
She took out a bottle of perfume from her bag. It was an aroma mist I had given her for her birthday, a simple gift because I couldn't afford much. I just diluted the essential oil, which I thought would suit Mary, with distilled water and put it in a store-bought spray bottle. But Mary had been delighted, calling it a special item just for me. I'm glad you like it.
You've always had good taste, Kate. You've always chosen good things, from way back.
I looked down, feeling a bit embarrassed. I had never realized Mary thought of me that way.
Dad and Mom say you turned into a bad girl. But to me, you've always been someone to look up to.
Her words felt strangely out of place, making me a bit worried. Maybe I sensed she was about to leave or something. If you ever need help, tell me. Steve and I will always be on your side." When Steve returned, Mary immediately stood up, pulling Steve's arm playfully and urging him to hurry. It had been a long time since I had walked outside feeling so calm since Emily was born. After a tiring day of walking, we had a delicious dinner and fell asleep as soon as we returned to the hotel. It must have been around 2 a.m. I woke up to the sound of the hotel room door opening. "What's going on?" I asked Steve, who was standing by the door, from my bed. He seemed startled to see me awake. Suspicious, I got up and approached him. "Where did you go at this hour? You didn't go drinking, did you?"
No, I didn't. We have plans tomorrow. Let's just go to sleep."
As Steve tried to slip past me toward the bedroom, a familiar scent reached my nose. In the confined space of the hotel room, the aroma spread. It was unmistakably the scent of the aroma Mary had been wearing. It wasn't just a faint scent from being around her during the day. It was so strong it seemed like Mary had intentionally put on perfume to make her presence known to me. "Do I smell Mary's perfume? Did you go to her room?" Time seemed to stop between Steve and me as we both froze. Mary was sleeping in the room next door. If there was a reason he went to her room, it was suspicious, but I didn't want to pursue it further. Steve stared at me, not saying a word. Eventually, he scratched his head with a sheepish smile, saying no. Well, I had no intention of asking more questions or pursuing the matter further. But Steve, without any hint of remorse, almost gleefully, like a child caught in a prank, began talking about his affair. After confessing everything, Steve smiled as if relieved.
"See, I was honest, so forgive me." Sorry.
He then slipped into bed. I stood there in shock for a few minutes before scattering the amenities like brushes and cotton swabs on the vanity.
"Hey! What are you doing?"
Steve stared at me in astonishment from the bed. Ignoring him, I threw his clothes and shoes at him, then rushed outside. It was 2 a.m., and the sky was filled with stars. Steve didn't follow me as I fled the hotel with just my wallet and jacket. I wondered why I was running, but all I could think of was escaping. The once lively tourist spot was now quiet and lonely at night. I walked aimlessly before finally returning home by taxi at dawn. I haven't seen Steve or Mary since then. They eloped. My early morning return worried my father-in-law, but young Emily was delighted and jumped into my arms. Holding her, I buried my face in her soft shoulder.
"Welcome back, Mom. Welcome back."
"Thank you, Emily." The sweet scent that lingered in my nose was overwhelmingly unpleasant. But holding Emily, who smelled faintly sweet and slightly fatty, was my only comfort. 13 years have passed since then. Steve and I divorced on paper and never contacted each other again. As a single mother, I have lived earnestly with Emily until now. 13 years is a long time, no matter how hard things have been. 16-year-old Emily has grown into a smart and honest girl. She excels at school and has many friends, making me proud. One day, while shopping with Emily, we unexpectedly ran into Steve.
"It's been a while, Kate."
In the vegetable section of the local supermarket, Emily, who didn't remember Steve as her father, looked curiously at both of us. I tried to ignore him and walk away.
"Hey, Kate."
I grabbed Emily's hand and tried to leave the store. Sensing something, Emily obediently quickened her pace and followed me.
"Wait." Listen to me.
I was bewildered. I had sealed away the events of 13 years ago, and even in my life with Emily, I had hesitated to mention Steve's existence, let alone his name. Emily continued to look at me curiously. Steve, still holding my wrist, began explaining why he had returned to town. As always, Steve had been terrible with money, moving from job to job, and when he ran out of savings, he returned to his hometown. He spoke with an amused smile, as if it was someone else's problem. Just let go of my hand.
You're still living with that old man at my parents' place, right? I can't believe it. We're divorced, you know?
Your father felt responsible for your elopement and has been helping us. Don't insult him.
Whatever. Mary and I will be living at the house now, so could you take the old man and leave?
I shook off Steve's grip and glared at him. No matter how angry I looked, Steve shrugged it off with a playful "I'll be in touch" and walked away. Emily watched him leave and squeezed my hand tightly. When we got home, I received a message on my phone. I didn't know how he got my number, but it was from Steve, asking me to vacate the house in a month, with a cute emoji attached. I could imagine Steve's nonchalant smile and Mary looking down at me. 1 month. I murmured quietly. Emily, who had been peering at my phone from behind, asked, "What is this?" After a few seconds of hesitation, I decided to tell her that the man we met was her biological father and that he was now homeless and needed a place to stay. After hearing the story, Emily clapped her hands lightly and smiled brightly.
Good job, Mom.
What?
I mean, that house is.
Her words made me smile despite myself. For a long time, Emily, my father-in-law, and I lived in that house. It had an air of history and dignity, with its faded white walls and roof. The whole house seemed to lean slightly, though I couldn't be sure if it was just my imagination. The garden was overgrown with weeds due to lack of time to mow, and daughter plants spread their vines all over the ground. Opening the front door made the wooden floor creak. When young Emily came home from school, she would run across the floor, making it echo as she headed to the kitchen. We were poor and couldn't afford many things we wanted, but I have a certain feeling in my chest even now. I was desperate to make Emily and myself happy. A month had passed since I reunited with Steve after 13 years. My phone rang, showing Steve's name on the screen. I took a deep breath before answering.
Hey, Kate! The key to the house isn't working. Are you not home?
That house has been empty for 5 years. The real estate company manages the keys, so I can't open it for you.
What? What do you mean? Then where are you living now?
I didn't answer that question and quietly closed my eyes. I remembered after my divorce from Steve, my father-in-law bowing deeply and shedding tears. He sincerely apologized for what his son had done and offered financial support. At that time, I didn't have a steady job, so I started working at the local sheet metal factory he managed. There were only a few employees, and the factory was a subcontractor for a major company. I couldn't do the heavy work of processing iron plates, so I helped with accounting and sales, doing my best. It was a male-dominated workplace and clientele, and I always felt out of place. The few young male employees constantly looked down on me. I lacked physical strength and knowledge. With Emily to care for, I couldn't do overtime and often clenched my teeth in frustration. When one of the employees, whose face I can't even remember now, told me, "After all, you grew up as a spoiled child," I cried at home where Emily wouldn't see. But I kept working harder than anyone, increasing my industry knowledge and connections. I wanted to fill the void of a missing father for Emily with money. Money. I wanted money. I wanted to buy Emily the clothes and food she liked, anything she wanted. Even if it was tough, I wanted to smile in front of Emily and remain a strong mother. Eventually, the company's management improved significantly. I developed a system that allowed precise processing and quick delivery in the sheet metal industry, and I earned a high position in the company. Now, I live a stable life financially and have been living in a luxury condominium with a concierge for 5 years. Originally, Emily and I had no plans to live in such a luxurious place. But my father-in-law, who had been living with us, told me,
Kate, thank you so much for everything until now. I can't thank you enough.
"It's not that. I'm the one who should be grateful for hiring me despite my divorce from Steve and having no ties anymore." One day, my father-in-law made a proposal. A luxury condominium was going to be built locally. As a token of his gratitude for the immense help I provided in both his personal life and the company, he wanted to buy a unit for us.
From now on, you and Emily should live together.
"That's too much. I plan to stay in this house forever." My father-in-law shook his head. As he aged, I had some concerns about his personal life. Anticipating my worries, he smiled and said he would also buy a separate unit in the same condominium to live in.
This house is very old now. Emily must be embarrassed. Don't worry, I've thought about college fees and coming-of-age ceremony costs.
I'm not worried about money. I'm not dissatisfied with our current life. I'm sure Emily feels the same way.
I know, I understand, but
The house was indeed old. The exterior, in particular, was in terrible condition, with peeling white paint making it look bad. Emily never brought friends home, likely out of embarrassment.
I should have decided this sooner. I was too focused on work and didn't pay enough attention to our daily lives.
The path my father-in-law and I walked was never smooth. There were unstable times in the company's management. We lost jobs when clients went bankrupt, and employees had accidents. But no matter how tough things got, we faced them together, supporting each other. Our relationship was more than just boss and employee. We became comrades who overcame hardships together. All right. If buying the condo is for Emily and me, I would be happy. Thank you.
Yes, I am deeply grateful to both of you.
But I have one condition. My condition was that we wouldn't live in separate rooms in the condominium but live together. My father-in-law was surprised and confused by my proposal, but I continued without hesitation. It's wonderful to move into a new, comfortable home. But we are family, so living together is natural, right?
Kate, that's very kind, but
Emily needs a grandfather since she doesn't have a father. Please, for Emily's sake, live with us. I always wanted to repay my father-in-law, who supported me and Emily so desperately when we were abandoned by Steve. Running a factory was never easy. He was always working at the factory. Even on days when heavy snow forced employees to take leave, I vividly remember him working alone in the factory. There were times when the workload exceeded what the employees could handle. My father-in-law stayed and worked long after sending the other employees home. Whenever I worried about him working too hard and spoke to him, he would always say,
Kate, spend as much time as possible at home with Emily. Don't worry. If you need money, just tell me.
True to his word, he never failed to support our living situation. He also tried to make sure Emily, who didn't have a father, wouldn't feel lonely by pushing me to attend her school events. Today is fine. It's just a sports day. I haven't participated much before.
Go to Emily's event. Don't worry about work.
I knew my elderly father-in-law was straining himself at work. But he never showed it and always remained strong in front of me. At the sports day, watching Emily running hard on the lively field, I saw her wave at me with a big smile. I always wanted to repay my father-in-law for his support. Though he was initially speechless at my suggestion, he eventually sighed and gently placed his hand on my shoulder.
I'm old now, and I might not be able to support you and Emily much longer.
You've supported us more than enough. Now it's my turn to support.
I might become a burden to you and Emily one day.
I stared into his eyes. There were unspoken feelings. He was an essential and precious family member to both Emily and me. Please live with us for Emily's sake.
If you bring up Emily, I can't refuse.
But it's true. She needs her grandfather.
Kate, you are an excellent saleswoman. Thank you. Really, thank you.
And so, Emily, my father-in-law, and I started our new life in the luxury condominium. 5 years have passed since then. The old house where we spent so much time is now empty. Sometimes, when my father-in-law passed by it, he would lament how sad it was that no new residents moved in. Even though it had been entrusted to a real estate company, it pained him to see the house becoming a ruin. Emily knew his feelings, so when she heard that Steve planned to live there, she was happy for him. But Steve didn't understand the situation. The house had been empty for 5 years and was already a ruin, with significant damage to the walls and roof. The real estate company had informed us that it would be demolished soon.
Hey! Are you listening? I can't live in this filthy house. Where is Emily living?
Steve yelled angrily on the other end of the line. I explained the situation. I told him how much my father-in-law had helped us, how we cooperated to grow the company, and that we now lived in a condominium, although I didn't give specifics. Steve responded with near shouting.
So you're living with that rich old man for money? This is ridiculous. As his son, I have rights to the company. I'm coming over to take control.
The volume was so loud I instinctively moved the phone away from my ear. My father-in-law, who was nearby, took the phone from me with a look. We were working in the same office. The reason was,
Long time no see, Steve.
Oh, Dad. Why are you there? Whatever. I heard from Kate. The company has grown a lot, right? Give me some position. I need a job.
Don't be ridiculous.
The reprimand was so intense that even I was a little surprised. My father-in-law was trembling with anger, his shoulders shaking and fists clenched tightly.
Kate is now the vice president. Without her, the company wouldn't have grown this much.
Vice President? Really? Well, Dad. How about you live with me and Mary? It would be easier for you to live with your real son.
Steve, since you disappeared, Kate has supported my life. She's much more important to me than you, my real daughter.
Real daughter. Those words made my chest warm. After separating from Steve, I felt too ashamed of my elopement and couldn't return home. I felt like I couldn't face my parents, always thinking I was raising Emily alone. My father-in-law repeatedly scolded Steve over the phone. He explained how much I suffered without financial support after Steve abandoned us.
I'm much better now, but I wasn't in good health. Without Kate, I might not have made it.
You're exaggerating. From now on, I'll support you. Let's work together.
Steve, let me make this clear. You are disowned. Don't call again.
Without waiting for Steve's response, he hung up. Only my father-in-law and I were in the office. We looked at each other and burst into laughter. We didn't need words. We had become like a real father and daughter. I hadn't raised Emily alone. I was grateful from the bottom of my heart to have a genuinely kind father who laughed with me. Steve never contacted us again. He had always lived like a drifter, so no one worried about his disappearance. But 3 months later, my phone rang with an unknown caller ID. It was my day off, and I was at home. Emily, unusually, offered to make lunch, so I was sitting on the sofa, watching her cheerfully cook.
Hello? Do you know who this is?
A familiar voice came from the phone. How could I forget my sister's voice? When I asked, "How are you?" Mary replied briefly, "Good." Even without seeing her, I could tell she was down. Mary confessed that after eloping with Steve, she had an affair with a married man. Recently, his wife found out and sued her, resulting in a large settlement she had to pay.
I'm sorry, Kate. I know I'm in no position to ask, but can you help me? Please.
I understand your feelings, but I can't help you.
Why not? What about our bond? You said you'd help me no matter what.
Yes, no matter what. You are my precious family. But now, I have an even more important family in front of me. Emily brought the beautifully plated pasta to the table from the kitchen. My father-in-law cheerfully prepared drinks and forks. Seeing me on the phone, Emily and my father-in-law quietly clasped their hands and started eating the pasta. The faint scent of garlic spread in the room, and I felt my stomach growl slightly.
I see. There's no convenient help now.
That's right.
I love you, Kate. So
I wanted to be like you. I don't think I'll ever fully understand the meaning behind Mary's words. After eloping with Steve, did Mary live a life like mine? What kind of life is that? It would be a lie to say I didn't resent Mary for taking Steve away. But she's still my sister. As my sister, I want her to be happy. A few years later, I heard from my parents that Steve and Mary had divorced. My father-in-law retired. Thanks to his strong recommendation, I was appointed president from my position as vice president. Being a female president in a male-dominated industry is challenging. But those who help me are the young men who once worked with me at the small factory. Now, I lead a busy yet fulfilling life. Will my parents, who opposed my elopement and subsequent divorce, acknowledge me now that I live for work? Will they mourn the life I've led through many choices? My life, with all its decisions, is not a mistake. Someday, I want to visit my parents with Emily. Will you praise me then, Dad, Mom? How was today's story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.